Donald Trump has changed his position on the Ukraine crisis and the war there, pledging more support to Ukraine and threatening Russia with more sanctions, and also those who are supporting and trading with Russia with more sanctions if there's no peace deal in the next 50 days. I'm right now in Russia, so we can talk about how people are reacting here, how the Kremlin is reacting, and you are in Kiev. So we can also get your point of view, Jan. In this constellation, I think it's the first time that we're talking. Quite an interesting setup, right?
A very, very bizarre setup. You in Moscow, me in Kiev, the capitals of two countries at war for many years since the invasion, Russia's invasion in Ukraine more than 3 years ago. I think, yeah, it's the first time that we have this setup, but yeah, maybe quite interesting to hear how the reactions are in Russia and how the reactions are here in Ukraine after this long-awaited speech by President Trump.
Totally different, obviously. Maybe I can briefly start because I quickly want to show you also here's the Russia Today studio in the background, where they, by the way, write "Question More" as their slogan, and it's right opposite the Kremlin, where they do their daily shows. And I was not watching Russia Today today, but I was watching some of the other, well, we would probably say propaganda shows on the Russian state TV, where they were reacting to the developments and to the announcements of Donald Trump. I mean, those are not official reactions by the Kremlin, but if you listen to what they're saying there, it's basically they're smiling about what Trump announced. They don't really take it serious. They say, well, we've been going through so many sanctions in the past years. Bring them on. If you want to bring some more, we will adapt to it. And they were also, that I found very interesting, pretty convinced that those countries that were threatened with secondary sanctions would still stand by Russia's side. And in particular, they were thinking about China, Russia's most important trading partner at that stage, arguing that the Chinese depend on the energy deliveries and the energy resources from Russia, oil and gas, so they would not care about possible threats by Donald Trump if this war doesn't come to an end in the next 50 days. I found that a very interesting perspective, but overall I have the feeling that people here are thinking, well, that was not really a strong statement. We don't really care about what Trump said there. How is it in Kiev, where, I mean, basically the question if Trump supports or does not support the country is quite an existential question for not only the country but for a lot of people.
Exactly. I think there has been also a bit of disappointment. Probably that's the only thing that the reactions have in common. Both Ukraine and Russia probably expected a stronger, more determined statement from the White House. So there is quite a bit disappointment here that there was no talk about the long-range offensive weapons and also, of course, sanctions in 50 days. People here, they have the impression that Trump might change his opinion in 2 or 3 days again. So 50 days seems to be very far away. But having said that, of course, there was also this feeling that Trump was serious when it comes to his personal disappointment with Putin. And that he has expressed it quite concretely, that he had several phone calls with Putin that he thought were going well, and then just a few hours later when he came back home, he saw another bombardment of a Ukrainian city. And I think in this regard, Trump is even a bit emotional sometimes. So yeah, this was obviously a relief here in Ukraine that there's a definite distancing between Washington and Moscow, and a new chapter, I would say, of sympathy with Ukraine, and of course this new deal that the US is going to continue to ship weapons and Europe will pay for it, even though this is also nothing really new. There has been talk about this deal here in Kiev for days. But still, yeah, it's been, I would say, mixed feelings after this long-awaited announcement by Trump today.
But I mean, Trump's critics would obviously say, I mean, it's been almost naive by Trump to believe that he would have been able to change Putin's thinking in these past phone calls. I mean, that brought so much discussion and hope, and over and over again they were saying, yes, we need to talk and we have a solution, and nothing happened. I mean, over the past weeks and months, it was very clear to see that Vladimir Putin wants to achieve his war goals, and he does not have any interest in negotiating something that is like below what his expectations are. He didn't make any commitments in that direction. So I think it was also to many clear, right?
This is exactly what you said is something I heard now several times after the speech. Okay, yeah, we acknowledge what he said, but why has it taken him half a year to come to this conclusion that, you know, basically Putin is playing games with him, and usually he's not somebody who likes to be, you know, that people play games with him. Why did he accept this for so long? And well, but on the positive side, of course, Ukraine was happy to hear now more concrete information about the Patriot systems that they urgently need to defend Kyiv and other cities from missile attacks from Russia and from the massive impact those ballistic missiles have. And it was also very interesting that Trump said, after one of the journalists asked him about it, that this could happen in the coming days already. I don't know if he's really well informed there or if he just said something, but this was definitely for people in Ukraine probably one of the most important messages that we heard today. More Patriot systems are coming. Of course, we're talking about systems worth billions of euros here that really make a big difference for Ukrainian air defense setups. And you have seen it the last weeks, and I've witnessed it myself here in the last 2 weeks have been really, really, really hard with those massive air attacks, and people have become quite scared, I have to say. You've been here in Kiev also many times, and it seemed people hadn't got used to the war in a way, but now it has really changed in the past weeks. People are really going to metro stations again, are going to shelters, because these recent attacks have been so massive.
Right. I mean, it's going to be very interesting days ahead. The big question is, will we really see any big change on the battlefield and the developments there? I wonder, even if there are more weapons delivered by Trump, if it will have a strong impact with the Russian side pushing further. But yeah, I mean, if there's something we learned in the past weeks and months, then it's the fact that things are changing relatively quick when it comes to Donald Trump. So who knows when a change of heart is going to happen again. I think it's not unlikely, but yeah, thanks so much, Jan. As you said, like, the situation there is much different than here. You could let me briefly show you. I'm just walking on the Red Square, where you see here the beauty of the city center of Russia, where war seems to be very, very far away. You see a lot of tourists being out here, enjoying the weather, enjoying Moscow. I guess that's something that is not possible.
Normal everyday life there, right? Yeah. I mean, you know, there's also still always some degree of everyday life here, but much different than it used to be. People really, after some days without any sleep, several days in a row often, you can feel the city here is really pushed to its limit. It's beautiful weather here. I think in Moscow too, this is something we have in common. But the atmosphere in the cities are unfortunately the atmosphere is very different, I guess.
Jan, take care. We stay in touch, and let's see what happens in the next days. Maybe we can have a call again in this constellation.
Yeah, it would be quite interesting. Thanks a lot, and take care.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.